So welcome, everybody. Dan Taylor here, as you know, and today we're with Rob Moore of Progressive Property, Progressive Success, Disruptive Entrepreneur, and a whole series of other things. So why are we going live today? What are we doing today? Well, today, easy tiger. Today what we're doing is we're talking about social media for property investors. And obviously it's a very capital intensive asset class, and at some point you run out of money, and that doesn't take too long. So what do we do then? What's the next course of action? Well, the next course of action is really finding out how we do no money down deals. Yeah, and to do that you need to build a brand, you need to build your tribe, and to do that you really want to become a gravitational force to attract investors for your deals and create a win-win. Now, to do that, we've asked Rob to explain how to do that, because he's a master of this. He's a prolific content creator. In fact, he's a gravitational force that attracts billionaires to help share insights to accelerate all our journeys. But what I've asked Rob to do is not what he does today, because if you look around here, we've got a massive fancy studio. Who has one of these? So what I've asked him to do today is we're talking about how to build your brand, to attract investors, and how to do that in 30 minutes a day without the big team that he has around him, and without the team and without the tribe. If he was starting again today, what would he do? So we're going to come on to that in a second.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah,
because
I'm ready.
When this man starts, he doesn't stop. Is that okay if I do a little intro?
You've just done it, haven't
Fantastic.
you?
Another, but for people that don't know Rob Moore, that's living under a rock, Rob has been in business for 13 years. He's also been in property for 15 years. He's got best-selling books in various languages, 200 podcasts in various languages. He also holds the world speaking record at 47 and a half hours. Lord knows how you got through that one. And he's raised hundreds of thousands of pounds for charities. He educates and inspires over 11,000 people a year. Unbelievably, he has over 700 properties with JV investors, and he's developing right now a jumbo shops and uppers and the biggest development in Peterborough as we speak, with over 100 units. That's all awesome, fantastic. But when he was starting out, what I'm really keen on is finding out two things. The two most important JVs in your life. Number one is obviously being your business partner, Mark. Yeah, how did you find him? And then secondly, the second, what I assume would be your biggest JV investors, the ones that invested in the 700 plus properties. Now, back in the day when we didn't have as much social media, what did you do? How did you attract them, Rob?
Okay, so Mark and I have just over 800 properties, but some of them are managed by a letting agency, some of them are owned personally, some of them are in joint ventures, so we don't own outright all 700, I think that's important to say, but we own, manage or co-own over 800 in that letting agency over there. And like you said, Mark and I are doing a 100-unit development, which apparently is the biggest private rental scheme in Peterborough currently. And I met Mark at the last week of December in 2006. So I'd been struggling a few years. I got myself into debt from university, and then just not earning much for a few years, and my debt I didn't go from 0 to 50 grand in debt overnight. It probably went from 18 to 25 years old. I just put up a bit more debt, it compounded. And I got myself about 50 grand, just under 50 grand in debt by 2005. Now, for years, my dad had been saying, get into property. A gallery owner who was hanging my art was saying, you should get into property. And back in that time, everyone was getting into property except me. And then my dad had a nervous breakdown in his pub. He got sectioned by the police. He got beaten quite badly by them in front of all of his customers. And that was a big turning point for me, because I just felt a lot of shame. I felt like a lot of it was my fault. I felt like my dad had always raised me to be an entrepreneur, give me a lot of opportunities. He put me through school and university. He'd really supported me. And I felt like my life had just drifted directionless. And I'm 25, about to be 26, and I'm 50 grand in debt, and I've got nothing. My family's being pulled apart. So I had a few days of beating myself up and feeling really shit about myself and life. And then I thought, you know what, I've got to do something about this. And I didn't know what or how. But I went back to this gallery owner and I said, I'm going to invest in property. My dad's been saying it. My dad's not very well. I want to do it for him as well as me. I'm going to get into property. And he said, you should go to this property meeting. It's blah, blah, blah at the Holiday Inn, which is actually just around the corner from here. And I was nervous about it.
That's where you met Mark for the first time.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't confident, but I went anyway. I remember riding on my bike because I didn't have a car. And the last person I networked with, and we hung out in the bar for an hour or two, was Mark Homer. And he was the first proper person I had a proper conversation with about property. So some people are going to watch this and go, well, Rob, you got really lucky. But
was Mark in property at the present moment in time when you met him? You were
Mark was maybe 5 years ahead of me.
Right.
He had probably a dozen or so properties. He'd bought some wrong uns as well as some right uns, overseas off-plan new build. We just got on. Yeah. We struck a good friendship. And fast forward, a month, he'd got me in a job in a property company. Fast forward about another 11 months from that, so a year in, and we'd bought 20 properties together. Ran out of his money, ran out of his mum's money, ran out of his stepdad's money. Then we went from 20 to 50 in the second year. Some for us and some we packaged on for other investors because we teach deal packaging. Ran out of my mum's money, ran out of my uncle's money, recycled it all, and went from round 2 and then went from 50 upwards.
Right. And in 50 upwards, that was obviously joint venture investors.
Yeah. So once mum, uncle, stepdad, and Mark's mum, once all their capital had been invested, was out.
Friends and family.
Yeah, exactly. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And some people won't do friends and family. I just think as long as you treat it as a proper professional commercial enterprise.
Absolutely. I wouldn't like to do them either, but allow them to invest, that's another thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. If they come to you...
and which year was this, roughly?
This was 2006. This was 2006. Yeah, 2006 and 2007.
Yeah.
So by 2008, we had non-family members doing JVs with us. And so that would be... By the way, Mark had put a lot of his money in, so Mark was one of my JV partners. And then we found 2 people who came through our events.
But I think importantly, obviously social media back then wasn't the same as it is now. So how did you find them? Was it all events, physical events?
We were going to property networking events. I started speaking at the front of networking events rather than being in the audience at the back. So I started doing public speaking in 2006. Mark and I put ourselves out there a lot. Now, if social media had been a thing back then, I'd have been doing lives every day. I'd have been in all the property groups. I'd have been putting on my own experience and journey out there. I think if you join Progressive Property and you share your journey and you teach what you learn and you don't over-exaggerate or under-exaggerate what you do and you stay very consistent and the deals that you do you show people and the challenges that you're having and that you show people and your wins you show and your challenges and your defeats you show, I think in weeks or months, or if you're really slow, a year, you're going to have people private messaging you, people following you who have got money to invest. Because people who have money to invest, they mostly lurk. They don't go on, hi, I'm Rob and I've got 2 million to invest. I'm just looking for the first person to come and give me a deal. Occasionally you see that, but mostly they lurk. Yeah. There's 27,000 something people in Progressive Property in the Facebook group. Yeah. I'm telling you, at least 10% of them. It'll be more, 10%. But I'm telling you, at least 10% are there with money to invest.
So nearly 3,000 people in the Progressive community.
At least.
At least.
Wow. It must be more. And I know people, I know hundreds of people who've raised finance just in that Facebook group.
And what about the database? I mean, that must be humongous as well.
450,000?
450,000 is probably the same kind of thing there, maybe 5% or so.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we don't market our deals to our database. We've never done it. We've never really felt the need.
Yeah.
I mean, look, we don't have a need for capital, which is a fortunate position to be in. If we did, I mean, I reckon I could raise 50 million from the community just like that. If we went on a raise.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Because of the people and the connection we've built and being out there on social media consistently.
Yeah. So with that in mind then, moving on to the core of what this is about today. If you're starting again, you don't have the studio, you don't have the team. I mean, there's 4 people behind here, 3 people or something like that. So Rob always has a big team. He's got a videographer. So
you don't need a team to raise finance, huh?
No, absolutely. So what would you do, Rob? Starting again, no team, no tribe, no money. You're out there, you've done a couple of deals, good deals, so you've got case studies to show. What would you do on a daily basis? You're only allowed 30 minutes. You're not allowed a team. You're allowed an iPhone and a little mic thing like this. That's all.
Okay.
What would you do?
So I would go to the Progressive Property Network. So I'd go to your local one and the one in London, or the ones in London. So cherry pick them. Pick the 3 or 4 in London that have got good numbers, and then the one local to you, and go to that every single month. People don't get this. Visibility is credibility.
Yeah.
So they're not putting enough content out there. They're not getting seen enough. They can't see the end result. They feel that they don't have time when in fact they do. It's never about time. It's always about priority. The next thing is I would put content out there regularly in the progressive property community. And I told you before, share what you're learning, share what you've done, share some deals you're analysing, share some deals you've bought when you've bought them, share your highs and your lows, your wins and your losses, anything that can add value to other people. A lot of people go, hey, I'm here and I'm eating dinner and I'm doing this and that. And people don't really care about that. What they care about is what you can teach them, what you can show them, what you've learned that can help them save time and save mistakes and just put yourself out there more. Now you're giving me a 30-minute a day criteria.
So that's nothing to do with networking. So that's a different thing. So networking your local area, London, do it consistently every month and keep going until it happens, and then keep going. But on a social media, on the Facebook Lives, that kind of thing, putting content into your community.
One piece of content for 15 minutes and 15 minutes engaging on the relevant posts.
As in Facebook Lives or just posts? Or
yeah,
both?
You could do Facebook Lives, or you could do Facebook pre-records, or you could do written content. So 15 minutes to do or plan it, plan and do it, and then 15 minutes engaging in the comments. Now, look, you probably don't want to post every day in the progressive property community unless you own the group, like I do. So you may want to do 3 posts a week.
Yeah.
So you could plan your content 4 days a week and do all your comments on those 4 days and use the 30 minutes for that. And then the 3 times a week when you're doing content, you can do 30 minutes of content on a video. But I mean, if you think about everyone watching who's in the progressive community, think of 5 names. Now, we don't have to say this, but think of 5 names. I tell you, those 5 names are putting out the most content. Guaranteed fact.
Yeah.
Visibility is credibility. And some people say to me, people say 2 things to me. One, it can't be that easy. It is. Consistency wins every time. One, it's that easy. And then some people say to me, I haven't got time. Bullshit.
30 minutes a day
Bullshit.
we're talking about.
There you go.
Yeah. So, as we've said, this is my commitment to you guys out there over here as well, that I'm going to be stepping up my game, and thanks very much for Rob for doing this. But I really got to reiterate, social media is 45 million people on social media right now. 78% are on Facebook. 40 million can be reached with ads. I've started my YouTube, started my ads. I'm really getting things going, and I'm quite excited to potentially discussing a few things with Rob as well that may or may not be coming in the future. Hopefully, fingers crossed, you never know. We might have an announcement to make. So there we have it. How you build your tribe without a team on social media to attract the JV investors. Now, going forward then, where is social media going from now on, Rob? Where do you see the big changes happening?
So I think premium content is going to have a big drive. So if you think Netflix for film and series, there's Luminary for podcasts, which is a paid platform. I have a Facebook supporter program where I give premium content. There's a small, just £3.49 a month. There's the new Facebook Stars feature. And because there's so much content out there now and there's so much social media, a lot of people are a bit overwhelmed. Who should they follow? Who should they listen to? Who should they believe? That is one of the downsides of all these people who can just put content out there. So I think that there's going to be more paid and premium services on social media. I think that the wave of social media and the reach, it's not like it's stopped. LinkedIn, they don't restrict your reach anywhere near as much. Facebook groups are still growing strongly. Our groups are growing at quite a few hundred people a week. But just a progressive one. If you add our others, they're probably growing at 1,000 a week. I think that YouTube is definitely a platform that seems to still have a lot of momentum. Stories. I've been tipped off inside Facebook that stories are going to be given a big push and a big bias next year. On Facebook too, because remember Facebook own both Instagram and Facebook. Also, I now have an account manager through Facebook, so someone who basically makes themselves available to say, hey, look, these are the initiatives we've got going on. These are the trends. These are ways you can use Facebook to get maximum reach and maximum benefit because they see me as an influencer. And so I'll be able to report quite frequently on the little things in Facebook that will, give you the best advantage. But I just want to sum this up and say it again because it really is this simple. if everyone commits to being on social media for 30 minutes a day, either creating content or getting involved in posts. Also, if you want to raise JV finance, then you post content on things that would help raise finance, not necessarily pitching, and you engage in threads which discuss that. So you keep your content on brand. If you're packaging deals, you get yourself involved in all the deal packaging threads. If you're commercial like you talk a lot about commercial property. And like I said, weeks or months or however long, you'll get trickle down followers, trickle down inquiries, trickle down leads. Someone will bump into your networking event, go, oh, you're Rob Moore, I see you on social media. And then that online. Now, by the way, will people say, oh, send me your bank details and I'll whack you over a few $100,000? That's not happened to me. But then you'll meet them face to face. You go, oh, you're Dan Taylor, we're mates on Facebook. And then you start the relationship. And honestly, I've seen hundreds of people do that.
So
it's real.
I think the key thing to take away is consistency trumps speed.
It does. Consistency trumps quality, because you can make your first post and it's not very, very good. I bet you if you and I look at our first post ever on social media, we'd be embarrassed. But it makes you get better each time. So I would say quantity over quality.
Quantity over quality.
Because quality comes. Start now, get perfect later.
So there we have it. And absolute amazing content. What you can do in 30 minutes a day to attract investors for your commercial property deals or residential property deals, service accommodation, HMO, buy to let, whatever it may be. And that's great. What's coming next in social media? A lot of paid content, as you say. Premium content is the way forward. Going forward for influencers.
Groups, stories.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll maybe get Rob back on again, because he hinted at insights coming down the line from potentially Facebook. But what would be really good to find out is what's next for Rob Moore. What's your plan going forward? What's your what's the big thing burning and exciting for you going forward this year and this decade? What's your big achievement?
Wow. So a mentor of mine once said to me, Rob, you start in new things all the time, and entrepreneurs do that. Why don't you just do the same thing you did last year but 20 or 30% better? And that really struck a chord with me, because I'd never really thought about business like that. But most of what I want to do this year is just a continuation of last year. I want to continue to grow my podcast and have great impact with the disruptive entrepreneur. I want to continue to grow progressive property. Now, the property training space has had a bit of disruption. There's been a few things which haven't really been great for the industry, but then you correct, or you take the feedback, or you get more closely knit. Often these things happen, and then the progressive community gets more tightly knit, because people realise we've been here 13 years and we're staying here another 13 or 30 years. So continuing to grow the progressive property training business and the community. We have lots of training. We do 850 training days a year, so I have got some new courses up my sleeve, which are probably not for now. Continue to build my personal brand, continue to develop our 130 units that Mark and I are doing at the moment. So a lot of it is just a bit more my supporter program and the stars feature. I'm one of only 20 people in the world that has the ability to receive stars and have that stars function.
If you're one of 20 in the world, obviously you've got a massive following, massive influencer, prolific content creator, but still, there must be a lot of people out there, the other 19. I mean, they potentially must be, bigger influencers.
Yeah, I mean, I reckon on my live streams, out of the 20 of us, I reckon I'm the lowest, or one of the lowest in what I get. I asked them this because I'm like, look, I don't have 100 million followers. I'm not Cristiano Ronaldo. Why have you chosen me? And they said 2 reasons. You have an engaged following and a loyal following. Right. So with my supporter program and the stars program and the amount of content I put on social media, Facebook must have looked and gone, who's loyal to the Facebook platform? Who posts consistently? Who has a loyal following, an engaged following, not a load of bought likes or whatever? And they picked me out of 20 people in the world. I think I thought I was the only Brit, but I've seen one other Brit. Because I don't know her name off the top of my head. But we're in a closed Facebook group called Facebook Stars Beta. So there's 20 of us and a load of Facebook employees who are all figuring out how we can make this stars program work. But it's the start of Facebook's currency. I am right at the forefront of seeing some massive changes in social media, which I'm really excited about. And I'll do my best to share them with people as I go on the journey.
Yeah, fantastic. So one last thing before we go, and I really appreciate your time. Thanks very much.
Always a pleasure, never a chore.
I've got to bring up this. Now, Bobby, your son, awesome golfer. Some say he can actually, do 10 holes in ones in the putting, green, and 20, 30 feet out. Yeah. So how come, with his skill, which is obviously apple from the tree, doesn't fall far, you must be quite good. How did you crash the Ferrari into the News International building?
What's that got to do with my son?
Well, it was all over social media. It was all in the press. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously you never meant it, and thank goodness nobody was hurt. So touch wood. And but
Yeah.
that was a hell of a situation. And how did that come about? And,
Yeah.
And secondly, did that impact you positively?
Okay.
After you got over the fright of the accident and all that
Yeah.
kind of thing.
So basically what had happened was Bobby had his first hole-in-one, which I was really excited about. He was 3 years old.
3 years
He hit a
old.
5-iron and hit a hole-in-one on the third hole on our local pitch and putt. And I did some research, and the youngest ever person to get a hole-in-one was about 45 days older than him. But we couldn't get it as an official world record because I didn't have any video evidence. But I didn't really care. In me, I knew. And Bobby's golf at that time was going really well. I mean, he was only really young, but so I was just like in cloud nine.
I could
And I
imagine.
was probably maybe just a bit high and maybe a little bit complacent and flippant and probably losing my concentration on things. And yeah, I just came round the corner here.
Yeah.
It was really early in the morning. I wasn't breaking the speed limit, but I was taking the corner too fast, obviously, otherwise I'd have come round it. And the ceramic brakes on the 458, which was the Ferrari we had back then.
458 Spider.
Yeah, they need a lot of warming up, and they just went straight through the corner.
Yeah.
Went through about 30 yards of bushes and straight into the side of the News International building, and that had a £105,000 repair bill. I went in 105 grand repair bill. Yeah, I'm ranked on the world's most expensive crashes website, and I went in. I mean, the car was a wreck. Everything fell off. The chassis was intact, but everything else fell off. It looked like a chassis. And I went in and said, "Oh, look, it's the manager of the building here." And they brought down the facilities manager. And I said, "Mate, look, I've crashed my car in the car park." And he said, "Oh, don't worry, it happens all the time. We'll check the cameras and blah, blah, blah." And I thought that someone had bumped, reversed into another car or hit a post. And then when we walked round the side, because the building's like that shape. So there's a central atrium in the building, and we walked around the corner there, and he just said,
Oh my God.
Well, you didn't say, "Oh my God." He said, "Fuck me. I've never seen anything like it." Within 2 hours, there was three reporters standing outside. Like, "Oh, we want to interview Rob Moore. And I sat down with Catherine, my MD, and Mark, and said, "Look, what do I do? Should I decline this?" And they were like, "Go for it."
Absolutely.
Which I thought they wouldn't do. I thought because I'm normally the one that goes for these things, not them.
So was there a silver lining on this bad situation?
I mean, look, my son wasn't in the car. That's a silver lining.
a huge silver lining.
And hey, look, I haven't crashed since, so that was good. Hey, look, it was in the Sun. It was in the Daily Mail. Look, some people even accused me of doing it as a PR stunt. What, nearly killing myself?
No, I think that's a bridge too far.
Yeah.
But obviously, there's positive
Well,
ramifications
look,
from it.
I think it shows people that I don't take myself too seriously, and I'm happy to talk about some of my failings and mistakes. Look, it's not brought any business, has it? Let's be honest. But yeah, there you go.
But anyway, I just thought
just
I'd
me. Poor old Mark owned half that car as well.
Did he?
Yeah.
Which half?
Yeah, the passenger half. Yeah.
Anyway, one last thing before we go. I know I've said that before, but
About 5 times. Yeah.
what dovetails nicely into this is the fact that Rob's doing another social media for property investors masterclass. And that's on the 27th of Feb and 9th of March. So that's 27th of Feb and 9th of March. And so it's social media for property investors, how to attract JV investors. How would they get in touch with you?
Unfortunately, they're all sold out.
They're all sold out.
We did something new for our 13th birthday.
Right.
We offered 130 places across 2 dates, 65 each,
Yeah.
for this brand new social media specifically for property investors, packaging deals, finding JV investors, finding property, selling property, building your property brand. But within 2 hours, we'd sold it out, and we'd already scheduled an email to go out, and we had 850 people who wanted 130 places. So we set up a third date, filled that, set up a fourth date, filled that, and we're still way over full. So unfortunately, that's closed, well and truly.
But obviously, it's a hot topic just now, and perhaps you
Can build your entire business for property, finance, package deals, training company, you name it, on social media, even in just the progressive property community. It is possible.
Yeah. Right, okay, well, thanks very much, Rob Moore. It's been an absolute pleasure. And a
Pleasure,
privilege.
Dan.
Thank you very much, and we'll see you all next time. Cheers.